Hello, everybody. My name is Matt St. Charles, and I doubted Buckyball this evening. We wanted to record this episode of the podcast before it got too late tonight, and as Samford kind of gave the lead, or as North Dakota State grew their lead against Samford, we decided it would be safe to record, and as we all know now, it was not. Samford overcame a 15-point lead with 4 minutes to go and won this game in overtime. So you're going to hear us on this episode say a few things about how we thought it had gotten away from them, and we are eating those words right now. I did just want to preface this episode with a few of my thoughts that I was able to go back and watch from this really insane comeback from Samford, because it was quite the meltdown from North Dakota State. Really hard to watch. There was 6 turnovers in the last 3 minutes or so, and then there was 4 or 5 more in the overtime period. Just super impressed with the heart of this Samford team, and game management from Bucky McMillan was incredible. They started a lot of late game stuff early in this one. Rolling the ball up the court with 3.5 minutes to go. Shooting just quick hitters with 23 seconds left on the shot clock. Like a flare to Rylan Jones to kind of get the run started, and then I believe it was Julian Brown or maybe Isaiah West outrunning with Larry Oleanka for a lob dunk, or a transition dunk that really got things going. I think it was a combination of that press getting turned on. I thought McMillan did a great job offense defense subbing between both Oleanka and Brownell and Trey Fort and Lucas Walls down the stretch. I thought that was super huge for them, and Oleanka being at the front of that press was a game changer for them, because North Dakota State started catching the ball, dribbling once, and then you have 6'10", whatever he is, Oleanka, just running at you, and that is just a recipe for a turnover one way or another. Just things like getting caught in the air with nowhere to go with the ball. It was a meltdown from North Dakota State. There was one that they threw it into White, who had 30 points, and he was so scared of the press he just dropped the ball and it went out of bounds, and Samford got the ball back. It was so impressive to watch. And then you talk about North Dakota State just missing opportunities down the stretch. Kazuki is 7 of 7 from 3, I want to say. Misses a wide open one in the corner. White misses. White, who I just mentioned, had 30, misses the front end of a 1-on-1. And Samford's going the other way for a bucket. Colin Holloway gets a 1-on-1 there at the end of regulation. I think it was 85-83. Misses the front end of that. Rylan Jones gets an offensive rebound and is making a play. And Larry Oleanka finishing it off was quite impressive. And then, a game like that, once you get into overtime, if you're North Dakota State, you are not winning that game. That is just, Samford is flying all around the court, making plays on both ends of the ball. And you're playing a game of hot potato, to be honest. Just passing the ball around, nobody wants it. It was not a good display of basketball from the Bisons, and it all kind of came to a head. Jones drove to the basket. It was 92-95, and kicked to a fading Colin Holloway in the corner. And the presence of mind from Colin Holloway, understanding that his momentum is coming back towards the corner, back towards the bench, and that Trey Fort to his right is standing there ready to step into a wide open three. Just the presence of mind to swing that rock, because Holloway was open, and he had a good look, but Fort had a better look, and that's kind of what this Samford team has been all about this season. But as a podcast, we did kind of think that it was over. So Samford fans, SoCon fans, if you'd like to come at me for this, I completely understand. I'm beating myself up over this one, to be honest with you. But yeah, you are going to hear us say some things that we thought North Dakota State had it salted away. But Buckyball is a great system to come back in a game like this. So Samford was able to get it done. We were quite wrong. But with all that being said, I do hope you guys all enjoy this episode of 2-Bit SoCon. Everybody, welcome back to a new edition of 2-Bit SoCon. Just Taylor and myself this week on a Thanksgiving themed episode. Taylor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Came off a birthday weekend. Got this hat for my birthday, the old 2-Bit merch, Got a shirt too. I don't know where it is, but it's been good. Ready for Thanksgiving. You doing well too?
I'm doing all right. I just had to watch my Keydets lose, but
That was a heartbreaker.
yeah. So a couple of good games going on tonight. Samford is looking like they are going to lose to North Dakota State at home in the Samford Thanksgiving Invitational. They are down 85-73 with about 2.5 to go, so we figured we might be safe to record, but you never know.
What a collapse, though. Yeah. Putting up 50 in the first half.
I was watching that game earlier, and while I was working out, and I looked up, and I feel like every time I did, Samford stole the ball and hit a three because they got down kind of early and got back into it a little bit. But
because last I checked, they were up. They were up, scored 50 in the first half, and now they're down to 26 in the second half. Got outscored by 15 so far, with 22 minutes left still.
They just cut it to 9 with 2.5 to go, so
still
we'll
hope.
keep an eye on that one.
Yeah.
You guys might get a live reaction from us. Western Carolina gets smoked in a bye game against Florida State, 91-57. Citadel takes care of St. Andrews, 100-85. And as I just mentioned, VMI down by 3 with under 10 to go. Andrew Wilson pulls out victory, throws it across the court. I thought it was going to be a decent look, but
Got blocked.
Loyola was ready for that, and so I did get blocked, and then had another good look on the wing, in my opinion, and
then just airballed
a little short, and then
but that was the look you wanted for sure.
And then we went to review, and I thought it went off the Loyola guy's head, but I guess the officials thought differently. So
that's one of those where I thought a call would have stood, but overturning that seemed a little bold. But
yeah. And then Furman in the Terry's Chocolate Vegas Showdown, SoCon After Dark at 10:30 tonight. And then we are going to do what every SoCon team is thankful for this time of year. Getting close to Thanksgiving, so we thought that would be a fun idea to mention. But we're going to start with what I'm thankful for. And if you noticed, I did not mention UNC Greensboro, San Jose State, or Miami of Ohio against Mercer.
I was wondering about that.
And that is because I am thankful for ESPN Plus. Because you will never catch me giving my money to the Fort Myers Tip-Off Palms Division Championship and their paywall to watch I love Mercer as much as the next guy, right? You are not getting my money to watch that game. I'm already broke as it is. Same goes for Flow Sports. Flow Sports has been doing it longer, trying to scam everybody. Just put your game on ESPN Plus. We all already pay for it.
I'm not gonna lie, I barely heard of Flow Sports. That's crazy.
It's like I don't know if it's a UNCG thing or what. I feel like they're on it quite often. I want one service that I pay for that I get to watch all these teams play. And for the majority of the time, that's ESPN Plus. And although you have to put up with some pretty brutal broadcasts at times, like that St. Mary's one against Chattanooga, or
That was a hard listen.
there's some bad ones, but I feel like overall the SoCon does a really good job with their productions, and so I'm thankful for ESPN Plus, all in one place. Taylor, what are you thankful for?
So this might be a little like cliche or whatever, but I am just thankful to be included in the SoCon community this year because I've been a fan the last few years, but like I didn't use Twitter or anything. Obviously, wasn't on this podcast, and so I wasn't aware of like the fandom. And now that I'm included, I'm on Twitter, seeing like the fandom. I'm happy to be part of it. A lot of passionate fans out there. League is overlooked. There's some good ball down there, good teams. Happy to be a part of it, and can't wait for especially conference play.
Happy to be a
So
part of
I am
most of it.
thankful. Yeah, I am very thankful to be a part of the SoCon community.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's all you.
But we are going to go down the list here and say what we think each SoCon team should be thankful for. We've hypothetically sat everyone down at a table and we're all sharing laughs and sharing what we're thankful for. So, Taylor, we're going to start with Samford. What do you think Samford should be for this time of year?
I think they should be thankful for the NCAA for allowing Rylan Jones, the old man, to come back for a 20th year of basketball. They were like, you know what? We'll give you a senior discount. Come on back. And he's cooking again with 7 assists a game. I think at this point, even with them about to lose, they should be thankful. It looks like he hit a clutch 3 minutes ago too, but it might be a little too late. But they should be thankful the NCAA was like, you know what? Here you go for a 6th year.
I like that. I had that for a second, but I've already somewhat attacked Rylan on this podcast once when I called him a senior when I wanted Bucky to be president, so I wasn't going to say
Fair
that one
enough.
again. I have two other things they should be thankful for, and this one's kind of a roundabout way of what most people would think they would be thankful for, but they need to be thankful for Martin Newton because 5 years ago, their athletic director, that crazy SOB, took a chance on a high school basketball coach that played 15 guys and pressed pressed every second and shot threes and never had coached in college before. And he looked at him and was like, "That's our guy." And even when they weren't successful at first, he doubled down on Bucky, and that's just paid dividends for them. So, I mean, that was just a huge hire that really changed the whole course of that program. Secondly, whoever is in charge of their scouting, recruiting, whatever it is, I don't know if he's just got NIL money like crazy that he's able to offer or what, because like the ability to recruit SEC caliber guys and other like star productive group of 5 guys or mid-major guys and get them to come and sacrifice, more minutes somewhere else or more shots somewhere else for the opportunity to win a championship at Samford, while also recruiting like talented high school guys and retaining them for years at a time so that they can build something special, I think is such a testament to everything that's going on at that program. So I don't know if it's Bucky. I don't know who on that staff is doing their recruiting and things like that, but they need a raise or a promotion or something because they're killing it.
Completely agree. They're probably in the last few years easily the best ran program in the conference, and You're right. I completely agree with you on sticking with Bucky because you see so many coaches nowadays who get fired after 1 or 2 years when half the time it's not even their players. They're like trying to turn things over and figure things out. And the fact that he stuck with them and he's still here after their last year, it's impressive. I'm sure Bucky wanted to be here. That's probably not all in them, but it's impressive. And they're gonna compete for the title again this year. It's looking like.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it is Birmingham love. Like Bucky is Birmingham through and through, and I'm sure he got some calls this summer about
Yeah,
some Power Four jobs, and Martin took a chance on him, and he is sticking with the program. So it's just cool to see in this day and age. We'll let you talk now about. I'll let you do your two favorites next.
Ooh, who's
Wofford.
that?
Who should
Uh,
Wofford be thankful for, or what should Wofford be thankful for?
I think Wofford, because they've played one home game this year, and it was November 4th. They should be thankful. Fresh month of December, they're going back home on December 1st against North Alabama. I'm not saying all their struggles are because they haven't been at home, but I know when you lose a couple and like you're still going on the road playing these teams, losing close games, like sometimes going home, practicing your own facility, and then if you get a win, that could really shake things up. So that will have been almost a month since they've played a home game, and they've played one so far. So I think they should be thankful. In the fresh month of December, they're going back home to finally play at Wofford.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that last episode that they've had a tough go at it so far,
Hmm.
and part of it is that they haven't played their best, and part of it is that like they haven't. I don't think they've been home since they beat Erskine in the
Yeah.
opener. So I
Yep.
mean, that's hard to do, and like these multi-team events are are tough on the body and things like that. So you hear it about NFL and NBA guys all the time, like just getting home, sleeping in your own bed, practicing at your own facility, shooting on your own rims, is an underrated thing that they all appreciate. So I really do agree with that.
Absolutely.
I struggled with this one a little bit because this team confuses me, man. I like they're so good on paper. I just put that they need to be thankful for faith and continuity because
There you go.
like this team was picked to be very good in the preseason, and it's obvious why. Like I went through it in our first episode. Like Tripp is a star, Filowich is solid, Civils is a great connector, Bailey's great. Both the Baileys are great actually, and they've been practicing together since they went home in March. So like, I have faith in them, and I think they have faith in themselves that they can get it back on track. But they certainly have not played their best. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them moving forward. But I think they appreciate the group that they have and their ability to keep playing together as long as they have. So it was a tough one for me
Yeah.
because they have underachieved, but you got to find
I
something
could,
for them to be
mhm.
thankful for.
I completely agree though, because I think if any team could come back from something like that, it's a team who's been together last year. And obviously,
Yeah,
I was high on them. I picked them to win, so I think they have more than enough ability to turn
right.
things around and hopefully finish up high, like I'm sure they planned on at the beginning. Still
Yeah.
do.
Your other favorite we just talked about, VMI.
Yeah.
What should the
so
cadets be thankful for?
so obviously they're dropped to 4-4. But again, I mentioned last episode, still have the same amount of wins as last year, and they've been close to breaking that. I think they should be thankful for looking like an actual Division One team for the first time in 3 years. Because last year, sure, there's some games where I was watching and I was like, man, like our intramural team could have held our own in the first. Not actually, don't come at me via my fans. I'm just kidding. But
Oh my
I mean, to go
god.
1-17 in conference play, and the year before that they won what I don't even remember. It's not much better record. And so for them to come out this year and have some solid D1 players and to be in the right direction, hopefully at least get double digit wins, I think they should be thankful for that. Because I remember you may have been the one to mention this to me, but there was like brief talks about maybe they would like get downgraded to D2. I don't know if that was actually
That's
the talk
a
or if we were
that's a
just
Jay
talking.
Gold. That's a Jay Gold topic for
Oh,
sure.
okay, all
Yeah,
right,
but
but they should be thankful for looking like a D1 team.
There was times last year that our intramural team probably isn't the answer, but
No, that was
there
harsh.
like they could have put a sign up that was like open tryouts, and I feel like some of us could have maybe had a shot. There's a lot of ways you could go with this team. I think number one, you have to be thankful for the ability to bring in transfers because I don't know how that changed, what changed, but like they're able to not just throw freshmen out there now and hope that they ball, I guess. Like they're actually able to go get TJ Johnson from Lipscomb and Ricky Bradley from Georgia Southern, who I thought was great tonight, by the way. And like you said, like field an actual Division One basketball team. So yeah, they look a lot better than last year, and I think it's opened up things for Andrew Wilson as a coach that he wants to run. So he has to be thankful for that. I put that they need to be thankful for a man named Cam Henderson. Do you know who Cam Henderson is?
I can't say I do.
Cam Henderson created the zone defense in 1914.
Oh yeah,
And
I was like, who is
VMI
that?
is riding with it. I don't mean that as a slight at VMI. I'm a huge proponent of the 1-3-1 zone if a team can't shoot corner threes. But part of it is playing to your strengths, right? Like last year, they couldn't guard a cone, and I think Andrew Wilson kind of realized he doesn't have like vertical or linear athletes like a lot of the rest of the league. And so the ability to guard a unit as a unit instead of one-on-one matchups everywhere, I think has been super big for them and is part of their success so far. So big thanks to Cam Henderson for inventing the zone defense
Heck
a
yeah,
100 years ago.
really agree. And it's looked solid at times too. I mean, it
Yeah,
hasn't been perfect, but there have been some possessions where they'll force traps and like force bad passes and stuff. So it's a pretty solid zone.
they rotate very well too. Like
Yeah.
there was a couple times, I think it was back-to-back possessions to be honest with you, in this game that a guy got beat on the baseline and like the Loyola guy went up for a dunk and they were able to block him at the rim. Like
I think I saw
VMI
that.
last
I had
like
it on earlier.
and that's because the guy in the bottom of the 1-3-1 is under the rim. If he's in help somewhere, he's getting dunked on or he's not even
Or
in a
it's a wide
position to
open
make a
dunk,
play.
and that's the problem with so many zones.
So I think it's been big for them to play for their strengths, and that's why they're at 500.
Yeah.
Western Carolina.
I said they should just be thankful for getting Ice Emery because he leads them in points, assists, and steals, and isn't having exactly the most efficient year, but he's one of the few guys in the teams that can get a reliable bucket. Because without him, I mean, they don't look that great anyway. But without him and Pelote too, but especially Ice Emery, but they might be 1-3.
He's been
So
really good. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
he's impressive, and he came from D2 too, so that's a good like find for them to get him. So
Yeah. I have an unserious one and a serious one. Which one do you want first?
let's go with unserious first.
They should be thankful for their proximity to Asheville because
Yep.
it'll be a quick bus ride home.
Oh, I
And
thought you make.
it'll be a quick bus ride home
Yeah,
in March. On the flip side, they'll have a lot of fans out there.
that's what I thought you meant.
Could
But
be a chance
I,
for an upset. But on a serious note, they should be thankful for the hope that last year's team gave them. Um, this is a team. This is a program that has won 20 games twice in 48 years. Um, and I think a lot of the time the hope is just lost. And I think last year's team, what they were able to do in the 23 tournament, and then for Justin Gray to bring, Von Wilbright and Russell Jones and Trey Jackson and DJ Campbell back for another year, like getting them to stay in Coley, and they kind of underachieved in the tournament, and we can get into that. But it was the best team in Western Carolina history.
Oh,
So
easily.
like when all those guys move on and Justin Gray moves on, like times are going to be tough. But they showed that if you recruit well, you retain guys, you build relationships with them, and they're talented, and you get them to stay, that like you can win in Cullowhee. Like it's not just never gonna happen. So
Hmm.
that team was super fun to watch all year, especially as they started to get it rolling. But like towards
Man,
the
they must
end,
hate.
but
Man, they must hate Furman.
yeah, they
Two
have to
years in a
hate
row,
them.
they had very close losses.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, it can be done. So
Hmm.
have faith in that, Catamount fans.
Absolutely.
You just mentioned them, but Furman.
I think they should be thankful for. I don't remember how to say his first name, but the guy from Virginia, Kahee Clark, throwing that god awful pass that
Yeah,
went right
Clark.
to right to Furman and led to Peaks hitting the shot. Because he doesn't throw that pass, they have to foul, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw him a bone. I'm gonna throw it like a Kareem skyhook, goes right to him. And so they should be thankful for getting him that tournament win because they had been in the tournament in 43 years, and for them to get a memorial moment like that. I think every year they should go to on Thanksgiving they should say a prayer for him. Be like, thank you for giving us that. Jalen Slauson, I know, does based his post game reaction when he was like, he just threw the ball. Do you remember that? Like he was walking off the court.
Yes.
I know he does.
Oh man. You know, a fun fact about that?
What?
Kihei Clark is the winningest player in Virginia history.
Are you serious?
Most
Man,
wins in Virginia history, and in that moment, he comes up
none of it
ahead.
mattered. Yeah, they
He
always
comes
say
up.
that tough losses always you always remember tough losses over tough wins.
Yeah, I bet he remembers that one.
Yeah, I would.
um, I have something kind of on the flip side of that, to be 100% honest with you.
Okay.
I think Furman should be thankful for camaraderie and humility again. I
Okay.
think I think last year was kind of a slap in the face, a wake up call for them. Because they were talented, man. That was a good roster, and it just seemed that like they were never on the same page. Like obviously Pegues is like your go to guy, but there was a lot of me ball happening last year, and I think it was sort of a product of not just from Pegues. I want to clarify that. Like we all remember the Alex Williams thing towards the end of the year, and
No.
it felt like a lot of guys looking out for themselves. And I think this year, there's a lot more role definition. Like BJ Smith is the guy, right? He's our scorer. He's our best player. Um, House and Anderson are your 3-point snipers, right? They're not like driving to the rim, dunking on anybody. They know
Hmm.
they're supposed to space the floor. Johnston and Heen are your versatile point forward ish kind of passing bigs that can also knock down a three. Vanderwall is your do it everything, 100% effort, take charges, whatever you have to do guy. Bowser's your dunker spot, lob and finish guy.
Hmm.
Like there's a clear pecking order is not the right word, but everybody knows when they go out on the floor what they're supposed to do, and they work together so well as a team to do it. And I think that was lost last year a lot for them. And part of it was they couldn't shoot the ball to save their lives last year, but part of it was that they weren't like a unit like Bob Ritchie loves his teams to be. And that's part of the reason that they got there in the first place to beat Virginia is that team with Bothwell and Slauson was so tight. And they had been there and they had lost to Chattanooga and Jean Baptiste the year before. And I think last year just kind of humbled them a little bit. So I think it's good to see them how Bob Ritchie wants it working as a unit. So, and that's why they've been so successful this year.
I agree because there's no way if you just looked at that roster on paper last year that they should have gone 17 and 16. And watching
Well,
them was
and
so frustrating because like occasional game, like even when it was iso ball, like occasionally they were hitting shots. Like Pegues was hitting step back threes, Marcus Foster was hitting shots, and you're like, man, this team could win the conference if they play like this all the time. But then I don't remember they lost. Was it Samford in the
yeah.
semifinals? Yeah, there was too
Well,
much hero ball down the stretch.
I picked them. Like when we got
I
to
remember.
overtime, I picked them.
Yeah,
And another thing to speak to that, look where those guys are now. Like Pegues is
yeah.
at Auburn.
Auburn.
Um, Marcus Foster is at Xavier. Alex Williams is at Duquesne. Like those guys went
Hmm.
on to do like to be on
Those are solid schools.
exactly. So yeah, it's just what last year wasn't what they wanted, and I think it was a wake up call for the whole school. So it's definitely good to see them playing how they want to play.
Oh yeah.
Um, Chattanooga.
Mm.
What's your
Chattanooga should be thankful for VMI because they gave them Dan Earl, our backcourt, and even Jake Stevens. And so who knows, domino effect here. If Dan Earl hadn't come over, you wouldn't have gotten those players. And so they should be thankful for VMI for being like, you know what, here's our guys. We could have the success, but we don't want it. Here, take it, Chattanooga. They should be thankful for giving them three great players and their coach. I think that's what they should be thankful for this year.
I thought you liked VMI. Why are you attacking them?
I thought it was funny.
Okay,
No hate, VMI.
I kind of had the same thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just phrased it as the power of friendship.
Okay.
They've got like a Nova Knicks thing going on. Like they're gonna win off the power of friendship. It was friendship that brought Jake Stevens and Honor Huff to Chattanooga. It was friendship that made Honor Huff want to sit out a year just to play for Dan Earl. It was friendship that brought Trey Bonham from Florida to Chattanooga when he was in the portal. And it was friendship that brought Bonham back out of the portal this summer when he entered. These guys are just loyal to each other. And I really think they have the talent now to be in contention for a title. And it's just because they enjoy playing for Earl. They enjoy playing with each other. And it's they've brought the other guys into that. Like it looks like Wieland and Kiesler and all those guys just enjoy playing in that system. So they need to be need to be thankful for the bonds that they have that VMI built in the barracks.
That is true because, I was
No,
going
go
to say,
go ahead.
you really don't see that anymore, especially sitting out a year. I know it's because it's not the rule anymore, but like, who would be willing to do that and then trade to go up to the Florida, then coming back? That's rare to see. And then I'm sure he got more attention when he briefly hit the portal and for him to come back. So the culture here is really good, and it's loyalty. It's good to see for sure.
Yeah, 100%. The Citadel, or sorry, no, we were about to do ETSU.
Yep.
ETSU, go ahead.
I just simply said they're dynamic duo because last year, going into the tournament 7 seed and their heroics, I mean, man, as a chat fan, hated watching it, but it was pretty incredible. Those clutch plays down the stretch to lead them to the championship game, and they even hit some against Samford. Samford was just too powerful. And then this year they're 4-2, and they've been the lead horses the whole way too. And Peterson, what's good about him too is he's shooting 50% from three so far this year after shooting 28% last year. And I could have predicted that for some of the shots he was hitting in the tournament last year, but I just think him and Seymour, like they should be thankful for these last 2 years, keeping them competitive. Their whole starting five this year, but them two
Mm-hmm.
specifically should be thankful for
Yeah,
them.
100%. Um, I put the Magic of the 7 seed. Did you know that in 4 of the last 5 SoCon tournaments, the 7 seed has advanced to at least the semifinal?
Really?
Mm-hmm. So
Wow, I guess that's right. I'm thinking
obviously,
back to dang.
obviously they earned it, right? Because it's not just like you get the 7 seed, you automatically advance to the semifinal. Like they played a tough, they played tough teams. Beating UNCG, who still had the Langleys and Brown Jones and blah blah blah, and than everything that happened against Chattanooga, right? Like they earned it, and those guys were all great. But this is a program that hadn't played up to its standards since 2020, basically, and because the tradition at ETSU is great, and with a new coach last year, the run to the title game just flipped the program on its head completely. And obviously, you're seeing it this year. It's sparked confidence in its two stars, right? With Peterson, like you said, shooting 50% from three, and I feel like every game Jaden Seymour is like 11 for 18 for like
Hmm.
26 points, and he's been phenomenal all year. He might be the only guy in the conversation with PJ Smith for Player of the Year as of now, early, but it endeared Brooks Savage to the ETSU fans as a whole, and same with Peterson and Seymour. Like I felt like there was a little bit of detachment between ETSU and its basketball program, and everything that happened last March, they're fully back, and they're looking a lot better than they did last regular season. So the magic of the 7 seed is propelling ETSU to this day.
Really is crazy because going into the tournament, I wasn't thinking about them at all. Like I was like, oh, ETSU, they can't score. That happens, and now this year, like the fans are excited again, and they're I think have the second best record so far in the conference behind Furman. So
Yeah, don't
crazy what a few games can do to change a program.
nobody nobody bring up my clip from our tournament preview show talking about ETSU, because
Ah,
I ate that one. That one hurt.
what'd
I
you say in
really
that one?
I said that I had UNCG winning by a landslide because
Oh,
that ETSU offense was abysmal to watch, and
to be fair, I think most people would have agreed with you at the
yeah, but
time.
I said it.
Yeah, yeah. Because on
So,
paper, man,
well, I had been on them most of the year talking
mhm.
about their offense, and that it's their offense soured me on them as a whole and made
I
me
bet the
pick
fans
against
were
them.
ready to jump at you.
Made me pick them out of spite. Yeah. Um, let's move on now to the Citadel. What should El Cid be thankful for?
Very simply, Brody Fox had another great game today. 29 points en route to 155 or 100 to 85 win. He's been their lead guy all season. Something I've mentioned before that they have not had in the past, and is players like that who can score, hit the occasional three, score down low, draw fouls, rebound, defend, that you need on your team to win games. And they should be thankful to have a guy like him come in, because last year they had a lot of, I feel like, good role players like Melora Brown, but like those guys aren't going to carry you to wins. This
Right.
guy, I'm not saying he's going to like carry them to a championship, but like some of these games where they fall apart down the stretch, he could be the guy to draw some fouls, hit some free throws, or
100%. Yeah.
yeah. And so they should
hmm
be thankful to have a guy like that for the first time in a while, I feel like.
He kind of reminds me of, because he's great. Like I talked about him last episode, but he kind of reminds me of Cade Tyson from Belmont. You remember him?
I could see that, yeah. I do remember him.
Who's now at North Carolina, by
Yeah.
the way. Like, it's just
I
a
saw his name
great,
pop up
like,
the other day and I was like, oh, shit.
just a great, like, all around big, strong, physical
Hmm.
basketball player. Like, there's not a thing he can't do. Yeah, and that's a good. Like,
Yeah.
I would be thankful for him too. I put location
Okay. There you go, Charleston.
because if you put them in the middle of nowhere, how did they compare to VMI?
Uh, yeah.
It's pretty close. Like, guys don't really want to do the military thing. They will if they have to, but military thing is tough. So would you rather do the military thing at the beach or in the barracks in Lexington, Virginia?
Man, give me the beach.
The being in Charleston just opens so much up for them in terms of recruiting, and like until this year it was like grad transfers could go and not do the military thing because they'd already graduated, where like VMI it didn't really matter, grad transfer or whatever, like they just couldn't get
Hmm.
transfers at all. So it's really separated them from VMI and is putting them like closer to the rest of the league than it is to, you know, the dredges of the league, I guess.
Yeah.
So Ed Conroy probably loves life on the beach.
I would.
Yeah.
Carlson's amazing.
Uh, UNCG. We didn't talk about them last episode. Sorry, Spartan fans.
And too bad we can't tonight because they're not on
Because they're
TV.
on Flow Sports, yeah.
Yep, at 10 p.m. But I was
Oh,
kind of similar with my pick, like I was with Western, and I picked Kenyon Giles because he's leading their team in scoring and is average with 15 a game, 15 3 and 3, or no, 15 2 and 2, sorry, and averaging 2 steals a game as well. And that's another team. I think me, you, and Jack all kind of talked about it, where they have a lot of solid players, but who's going to be that guy like the Langley twins or Brown Jones? This he's by no means going to be that big, but he's at least a guy who can get buckets down the stretch. Like he made some big plays in that Florida Gulf Coast game. He had a big three when they were missing like 13 in a row or something, and it's always good to have a go-to guy like that who can get you some wins because that was a concern that they maybe didn't have the go-to guy. But and defender, 2 steals a game. He's been pretty good on the defensive end too. Always nice to have a two-way guy who can score as well. And
there's
so that's who I think
also
you should be thankful for.
there's always something nice about a guy wearing goggles just getting
Yeah,
buckets. I'd love
yeah,
to see that, dude. I
yeah.
like. Oh my god. Sometimes you don't take them seriously, and then they like put
And then they bust
25
you.
on you.
Yeah,
And
you're like, all right,
yeah. Um, I said culture. I think
okay.
I think Mike Jones has built a very, very strong culture over there in Greensboro. Um, Obviously, like he doesn't believe in the transfer portal to an extent. Like he's not going to rebuild his whole roster every year, and so kind of like where we see Wofford right now, like bringing guys back, developing guys for the whole summer. Like he's built a culture where like that's the main goal instead of like
Hmm.
just grabbing whoever it is out of the portal and making sure the guys that come out of the portal are the right fit. Like they needed two really good guards that fit their style of play, and Giles and Polite have been that fit for them. So I think just focusing on less snatching guys from the portal, more developing who you already have because you believe in those guys is nice to see in this day and age. And
Hmm.
I don't know that talking about abolishing the NCAA is the right way to go about it, but I like the kind of idea of how things used to
It's
be.
good to see
Like
some old school stuff.
exactly, I like that from them. If I'm not mistaken, this will be the last team, Mercer.
I almost forgot about them. I was like, who are we missing?
I think
Yeah,
we did
I
last week
said,
too.
I said, coaching change is what they should be thankful for. Not that Greg Gary was awful, but coming off their early 2010 success, knocking off Duke, which is just insane. Like I just imagine seeing that now that we're like involved in SoCon. But anyways, here comes Ryan Ritter, young guy, been around the sport since his late 20s, and he looks like he wants to build a culture there. Obviously, that hasn't had crazy success yet, but they brought in some guys and some guys from last year, and they've record 3-4 so far. But I think they've shown promise. They had lost a close one to Miami, Ohio today, but they've shown promise. And I think if they if they don't fire him after 2-3 seasons like some of these guys do, I think he could build something there.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Mine's kind of along the same lines. Anyone familiar with Roman Catholicism knows that purgatory is a temporary state after you die where you await judgment. I think Mercer should be happy that purgatory is a temporary state. Um, and I have this analogy of them that I bet being a Mercer fan is kind of like being a Titans fan. I think it's like you had a nice little run in the AFC Championship in 19. Mercer beat Duke in 14. And then you just kind of like you had a
Remember
decent
that forever.
like Vrabel was a great coach. Gary was okay. I didn't think he was the worst,
No.
but just kind of coasting along in the middle, like the Titans getting the 11th, 12th, 13th pick in every draft, and Mercer going and playing in the quarterfinals and losing, and then you let that coach go, and you hire a new, young, exciting coach, and go get some new talent, and it could result in, you know, an exciting offense, a fun to watch team, a good team, that can make a run in March, or it could result in what we see with the Titans right now, where they suck.
Yep.
But I think just having freshness is something to be thankful for, because you don't have to
Absolutely.
just grind it out like old basketball on the block, things like that, and just kind of be a middle of the pack team.
To complete
Like
your analogy, Titans run, pass.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having something to hope for, or like having direction, whether it's up or down. Like when you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So that's where the Titans are now. I don't think Mercer will hit rock bottom, but just having life.
I would argue they avoided rock bottom by changing things up. So,
Yeah, I think things could have been rough if they fired Gary, McCreary left, Holt probably would have left, Quinones probably would have left, because those guys were in the portal. McCreary graduated, but Holt and Quinones were in the portal until Ritter got the job, and he talked them into staying. So I do agree. They could have been on a darker path for sure.
and that shows his recruiting potential too,
Yeah,
by
100%.
being basically re-recruiting, being like, "Come play for me, like we can build something here."
I mean, he recruited Ahmad Robinson, who I
Yeah.
think is like a 15 point per game scorer at New Hampshire. Don't quote me on that. Like getting a 15 point per game D1 guy is
I
tough.
think he scored 22 tonight, unless I'm thinking of something else.
I don't know. I didn't
Or
watch.
today. Yeah, I tried. I tried turning
Game
on
was
at work.
behind a
And
paywall.
yeah.
So that is it for all of our SoCon. What are you thankful for?
He had 19.
Oh, that's good.
I was close.
We do have a few fan questions this week that we want to get to. We appreciate those that reached out with their questions, and we encourage everyone else to do the same. What's wrong with Wofford, Taylor?
We talk. From what I've seen, it's almost like they just have a different guy play well every game. The first game, like that's an outlier. They played. I don't even remember the team's name. Dropped 115, but like it's like a tale of like two halves every time. Like in the first half against Lipscomb, it was Dylan Bailey making the shots, made like three or four threes. Second half, he kind of went cold, and Corey Tripp came in and made it. And then I think in their loss, was it Milwaukee they lost to by 5 yesterday? I think it was, or is that
No, Portland State.
Portland? Okay, well, like Dylan Bailey had another 6-7-3 game, and it's like it's hard to put into word. Like they just don't seem to be all meshing at once to me. And also, I think Corey Tripp hasn't had the best start. He's only shooting 39% from the floor. And as a team, after dropping 115 points their first game, is down to, I think, 74 points a game. And so I also don't think it's a huge, like, they should be super worried yet. Because, again, we talked about this earlier. They played one home game. So who knows, they can come back and win a few of those and, like, be back on the right track. But
Yeah.
they've definitely been hard to watch so far. But also, last two games have been road losses by 5 and 2 against Milwaukee and Portland State. So, but also, I mean, and they dropped 35 against Duke. It was Duke, but man, that was tough. But it just seems like to me, like different players are like playing good at different times. If that makes sense. Like they need a game where everybody's like meshed together at once. You know,
Clicking, right?
like
Yeah.
yeah. That's the word, clicking. I couldn't think of the word.
So you said
That's
it was
what
hard
I've
to
seen
put.
from them.
You said it was hard to put into words. I'm gonna do it as best I can. Wofford reminds me of sitting in traffic. Hear me out.
Listen,
When you're sitting in traffic, what are you thinking? You're looking at the
It
guy
sucks.
in front of you and you're saying, just drive. Right?
yeah,
And they're looking at the guy in front of them saying, just drive. And we all just want to drive. But there's something going on we can't see that's causing the traffic.
that's a good way to
And
put it.
it's hard to like pinpoint one thing with what's happening with Wofford right now and point to it and say this is why they're 2-5. That's just it's tough
Yeah.
because like it's not like they're not all on the same page. Like yeah, Tripp hasn't been what we expected, like a player of the year type of guy, but he hasn't been awful.
Yeah,
if I had to pick something, it would have to do with like they just get no penetration in the lane. Like I think
That's been an issue
there's
too.
a lot of when they try to get to the rim, they get bumped off their line and either end up driving out or kicking out. Like they're so good when they're driving to the rim, cutting, passing off each other like the ball's just moving. And they've had a hard time like there was a play in the Portland State game. There was like three dribble handoffs and screens in the same play and it ended with like Tripp got fouled, but he had no separation trying to get
Hmm.
to the rim. And I think just the lack of penetration, and I don't think they're a great screening team to be honest. Like I think
Mm-mm.
Filowich is a good screener, but like they do a lot of run throughs instead of screens, and I think it's kind of contributed to that lack of penetration that is kind of hindering their offense. So I guess I kind of did just point to one thing, but it's still kind of like a
Yeah,
traffic jam. Like it
yeah.
just feels like they should be better and they haven't been. Is the
Because even
best
with that, they could still be better.
exactly.
Like yeah,
Like they can still shoot better, or
yeah, exactly. That's part of the
but
reason they haven't shot as well as I thought they
yeah,
would to
that
start the
too.
year, and that could get fixed over time. But who knows? But
Also,
it's definitely been a surprising start.
we'll see on Jackson Civils. He went down with a pretty gnarly ankle injury.
Oh, I heard about that.
Um, it was not pretty. I hope he's okay and on a speedy recovery because he's super important for them
Oh yeah,
and what they
they're
want
gonna
to
need
do
him,
on both
especially in
ends of the
conference play.
floor. Um, who should be worried so far?
That's so hard because conference play is like so hard to judge. Everybody's figuring things out. But if I had to pick one team, it would be Western.
I'm with you.
I haven't seen that much. It hasn't been like disastrous per se, but I just have not seen much upside, much convincing that they're going to win against too many teams in conference play, even the
VMI and the
military
Citadel,
schools. Yeah, even the
100%.
military schools, and especially after the success of last year, it's just disappointing. And I just don't
Yeah.
see very much upside with this team, and that's because I could say Wofford, but I think they're going to figure things out. Whereas Western, I just don't know if they have the weapons to figure things out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
it's Western to me, and it's more an indictment on the Citadel and VMI being way better than I thought they were
exactly,
than it is like Western is kind of what I thought they were gonna be. Like not fantastic, but they're not the worst team in the country. But the Citadel and VMI have really taken steps forward that could land Western Carolina in that 10 spot if that's how things play out. So it's not really like you said. Ice Emery's been good, and I like McKee, and I've always loved Pelote, but I just think the militaries have gotten a lot better, and
mm,
that could end up hurting Western when we get into conference play.
exactly. And if I remember
100%.
correctly, we both had them eighth, right, behind the military schools, and now it's
They're in
looking
front of
like
them,
we'll be
yeah.
tenth. Yeah.
Um, who has looked good without the result of winning coming from it?
UNC Greensboro has looked decent. That win against FGCU was solid. Good road win against Long Beach State. Not necessarily great, but they're 3-2, which isn't great, but they've looked a little better than I thought. I think I picked them seventh, and so they've shown more promise. Like you said, with bringing those guys last year and bringing in Giles and Polite, huge, and they've looked really good so far as a backcourt duo. So they've looked good. And then I was also going to say, because the second part is who's on the cusp of breaking out, because they haven't looked great yet, but I think Chattanooga is headed that way. Because starting 0-3, and then they've won four in a row. They haven't looked necessarily great in all those wins, but Trey Bonham finally had a breakout game of 28 last night. And in the honor of 19, I think only shot 3 of 10 from three, but had a tough step back three to kind of put him out of reach. And he hit 9 free throws. And still don't even have Frank Champion back yet. And a lot of their other role players are kind of like Kiesler's been really solid, and Bash Whelan's been solid, and then Colin Mulholland
Mulholland's been
had some
great. I was gonna
he had
say.
some great plays in the post last night, and so
Yeah,
I think they're trending upward. And I
yeah.
think Bryant on Thursday will be a good test.
I think that's health for them more than anything.
Yeah,
I think
that is
we
true.
know what that team can be when they are healthy, especially with, if Frank Champion is what we expect them to be. But yeah, they're definitely ramping up for conference play at some point. I said UNCG too. Um, like two of their losses are SMU and Indiana. Like
Mm.
Indiana's
And that
the
was
top.
close. 11-point
In,
game to Indiana.
Indiana's top 20 team in the country. They held the lead against SMU for a good chunk of that game. Like they were in that game, and I think the talent of SMU just kind of got away from them. So not to say that they like have looked bad, because I think I've been pleasantly surprised with what they are now. Because Polite and Giles have been way better than I thought they would be, and
Hmm.
I'm impressed with Atwell and Breath, and I think Malik Henry has been phenomenal for them off the bench. You could make an argument that he should be starting, but they've looked good. Their record is what it is because they've played some tough teams.
Hmm.
So they've definitely looked really, really good to me. Last question, actually coming from the guy who tweeted my ETSU hate video last year.
Ah,
Logan says ETSU basketball seems to be figuring things out within the starting five, behind production from Seymour and Peterson, while Bradford and Boyd are adding numbers as well. Will they struggle like last year without bench production, and who on the bench could help step up? So I'm going to say right off the bat, basketball is hard when your bench doesn't contribute. We saw this with UNC Greensboro all of last year. Like the Langleys and Brown Jones and Atwell and Breath were so good together. They were, don't quote me, but they could have been the best lineup in the league in terms of offensive rating.
I would 100% agree.
Off the bench, they were awful. Like it was like, this isn't a knock on these guys individually, but like Sozonu and Ahmed and Miles Jones, like those guys just didn't produce last year, and we saw that come to a head against ETSU. Like obviously the Langleys didn't have their best game, or Brown Jones didn't either, but those guys, your top guys are gonna have off nights sometimes, and you need other people to step it up. And I said to you pre-show, the only basketball team I've seen be successful without tons of bench production is the Golden State Warriors with Curry, Durant, Thompson, and Green. Like,
And we may never see that again
exactly. Like
at any level.
none of these teams have that kind of lineup. So basketball is just hard when you only have five guys contributing. With that being said, I'm still really looking for Struthers to have some big minutes going into conference play as a bench guard, like defending the other best guards in the league, because that's what he made a name for himself in Asheville last March, doing that.
Hmm.
And I think if the offensive side can start to come along, not to say that he's been awful offensively, but if the offensive production can match what he can be defensively, he's really going to be a valuable piece off the bench for that team. DJ Hughes, he's a dog. Like that's the best thing I could like. He's not gonna like give you a dream shake in the post or like step out and hit threes, but there was a stretch in one of their games, I can't remember, that he was just grabbing every offensive rebound, and like he just rushes the rim, like he crashes the glass so hard. I think that will be big for them. I do think they'll need more off the bench shooting, so Makai Johnson could be the answer for that. Those would be my answers of who should step up for them. Do you have anything outside of that?
It is concerning because in their win over Queens, they dropped 82 points, 80 from these starters. They had 2 points off the bench, and it was from Gabe Sisk. He had 2 points off the bench. No one else scored, and they only took 5 shots total. That is definitely a concern because they were playing Queens, who isn't great. So if you match up against a solid conference opponent like a Samford, who's going to run you off the court, or
Right.
not running off the court, but like you're going to get gassed. Like
Well, yeah.
you need guys to come and step up. And I completely agree. I've expected more of DJ Hughes so far because his potential is through the roof, but he's only shooting 28% from the floor this year, averaging 4 rebounds. So the potential is definitely there, and he's got to Him and Struthers too. Yeah, they've got to get some production from him. And you say Johnson with the shooting because he was 0 for 1, only took 1 3 and missed it in that game too. So they got
Yeah,
it
but
in only 2 minutes, I guess. But
I don't expect any of those guys to shoot 8 times a game. Like,
no,
you're gonna get 3, 4, 5 shots maybe, and like your role is to knock them down when you get them. So, they'll definitely need to find some kind of production off the bench because it would be a shame to waste the season that Peterson and Seymour are having so far because they've
they have
been phenomenal.
just about every game. Both have been phenomenal.
I will say, Bugs was like a 50% shooter or something from three last year. He hasn't been quite that. I do wonder if that will come back up with the law of averages, but I think he's going to need to shoot the ball a lot better for them to be kind of where they were last year in March.
Because if he goes back up, and Seymour continues to shoot, or not Seymour, Peters continues to shoot the three well, that could be pretty scary and open up the floor for them like big time, which is part of their struggle last year.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. We are very thankful for you all, everyone that listens and interacts with us on Twitter. And, if you're traveling, go see your family or whatever, put on 2-Bit SoCon in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a listen. I guess I should
Put your
say
family
it on
on it.
Twitter because you'd have seen the whole episode. But, yeah, we really appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And we will see you guys next week.
All right. Have a good Thanksgiving, everyone.